everyone, this is Gloria from Scraps of Life. I'm going to show you how to use your stamps today to create sort of a postcard, scene and a postcard back. You can see here I used some stamps to create a little Halloween postcard, and then on the back I used the postcard images to create the back part of a postcard. I love postcards. You can use them for cards, gift cards, bag toppers, just a little way to leave notes. So I have a few examples of actual vintage postcards that were used probably in the 20s and 30s, and you can see they're very sort of decorative. This one is embossed, if you can see, and this one's got a stamp to someone. Here's a little Christmas one in a different orientation. This one is stamped 1914, the little message and the address is on there. So I really have a love for vintage postcards, and I collect them. Graphic 45 does some reproduction vintage cards. If you can see in the new Nutcracker Suite line, here's a little Christmas postcard image. Here's a little bit different with some graphics on it. Here's a lady's diary collection. There's a little postcard all done and filled in, a reproduction postcard. And then also popular in the 20s and 30s were these really bright postcard fronts. These are reproductions of postcard fronts, and so I'd like to show you how you could create something like that with your stamps. And then here are some full color versions of what postcard fronts looked like back in that time. So let's get started. This is the project that we're going to work on. I'm going to show you how to stamp. So a lot of different stamping techniques. I'm going to show you masking and layering, and then coloring and inking with your stamps, and then how to use the postcard images to create a postcard back, plus using the little cutouts from the paper to mimic a stamp. You could put an actual stamp there and actually mail this in the mail. I looked up what standard postcard sizes are from the U.S. Post Office, and it must be at least 5 inches by 3.5 inches. I'm going to write that here so you could copy it down. 5 by 3.5, and it can't be bigger than 6 by 4 1/4. This is inches, U.S. postage. If you're non-U.S., you might want to check with your postal service to see what they consider postcard. But this would take a postcard stamp, and you can actually mail it in the U.S. mail. So let's get started. We're going to start out with our little postcard image by stamping some pumpkins. This is a pumpkin from the Graphic 45 Happy Haunting collection. This is the large pumpkin. I'm just going to ink it up with some black. This is Memento ink. It's a dye ink, but it's really good for coloring with Copics. It's really my go-to ink. So we'll just kind of stamp the pumpkin, and then we have a pumpkin face that we'll stamp. And then I've already stamped the pumpkin again on a piece of just computer paper and cut it out with scissors. And I have a little piece of low-tack tape that I can use to stick it down to create a mask. You could use a post-it note, but I had cut the top off where the sticky part was, so I had to use this little piece of masking tape, low-tack tape. So I will place that over the top of the pumpkin I just stamped. Now this creates a mask so that anything stamped on top will not cover up my pumpkin, and you'll see what I mean in a second. So we're going to put the smaller pumpkin from the same set, the Happy Haunting collection, ink that up, and then I'm going to overlap a little bit the original pumpkin. Stamp it, And then there's another face. This is a little sad pumpkin face. We'll ink him up and stamp there. And now I want to also mask the little pumpkin. So again, I stamped the pumpkin and trimmed it out with scissors, very close to the line. So I will cover him up. And now I want to ink this vine. This is sort of pumpkin vines. Ink that up, and then I'm going to stamp towards the bottom and overlap the pumpkins and also go off the edge of the paper. Ink it up again. It's sort of like this. Now, okay, now I have a title. It says Halloween from, again, the Happy Haunting collection that I want to stamp across the top of the little card that I'm making. So I'll ink that up and try to get that straight and centered. It's a little crooked, but you get the idea of that. And then we'll pull these masks off. And you can see how my pumpkins are, looks like one is behind the other. So that is masking. Very simple. All you need is a little piece of scratch paper and some low-tack tape and a pair of sharp scissors, and you can create masks from any of your stamps that you feel like that you could cut out. So